Alright, we're on 2 Kings chapter 21. Manasseh was 12 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 50 and 5 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Hipzibah. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, after the abomination of the heathen, whom the Lord cast out before the children of Israel. For he built up against the high places which Hezekiah his father had destroyed. And he reared up altars for Baal, and made groves, and did Ahab king of Israel, and worshipped all the hosts of heaven, and served them. And he built altars in the house of the Lord, of which the Lord said, in Jerusalem I will put my name. And he built altars for all the host of heaven in the two courts of the house of the Lord. Goodness. And he made his son pass through the fire, and observed times, and used enchantments, and dwelt with familiar spirits and wizards. And he wrought with much wickedness in the sight of the Lord, to provoke him to anger. Boy, that's what they're doing now. And he set a graven image of the grove that he had made in the house of the Lord, of which the Lord said to David and to Solomon his son, in this house and in Jerusalem, which I have chosen out of all the tribe of Israel, will I put my name forever. Neither will I make the feet of Israel move any more out of the land which I give their father, only if they will observe to do according to all that I have commanded them, and according to all the law that my servant Moses commanded them. But they hearkened not, and Manasseh seduced them to do more evil than did the nations whom the Lord destroyed before the children of Israel. Boy, that's bad if you do. And the Lord spoke by his servant the prophet, saying, because Manasseh king of Judah had done these abominations, and had done wickedness above all that the Amorites did, which were before him, and had made Judah also to sin with his idols. Therefore, thus saith the Lord God of Israel, behold, I am bringing such evil upon Jerusalem and Judah, that whosoever heareth of it, both his ears shall tingle. And I will stretch over Jerusalem the line of Samaria, and the plummet of the house of Ahab, and I will wipe Jerusalem as a man wipeth a dish wipeth it, and turn it upside down. And I will forsake the raiment of mine inheritance, and I will deliver them into the hands of their enemies, and they shall become a prey and a spoil to all their enemies, because they have done that which was evil in my sight, and have provoked me to anger. And since the day of their father came forth out of Egypt, even unto this day, moreover, Manasseh shed innocent blood very much, till he had filled Jerusalem from one end to another, besides his sin, wherewith he made Judah to sin, in doing that which was evil in the sight of the Lord. Now the rest of the acts of Manasseh, and all that he did, and his sins that he sinned, are they not written in the book of Chronicles of the king of Judah? And Manasseh slept with his fathers, and was buried in the garden of his own house, in the garden of Uzzah, and Amon his son reigned in his stead. And Amon was 22 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 20 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Meshelmith, the daughter of Horez of Jotbath. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, as his father Manasseh did. And he walked in all the way of his fathers walked in, and served idols that his fathers served, and worshipped them. And he forsook the Lord God of his father, and walked not in the way of the Lord. And the servant of Ammon conspired against him, and slew the king in his own house. And the people of the land slew all them that had conspired against King Ammon. And the people of the land made Josiah his son king in his stead. Now the rest of the acts of Ammon, which he did, are they not written in the book of Chronicles of the kings of Judah? And he was buried in his sepulchre in the garden of Uzzah, and Josiah his son reigned in his stead. We are on chapter 22. And Joash was 8 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 31 years in Jerusalem. And his mother was Jedidiah, the daughter of Adiah of Boscath. And he did that which was right in the sight of the Lord, and walked in all the ways of David his father, and turned not aside to the right hand or to the left. And it came to pass in the 18th year of King Joash that the king sent Shaphan, the son of Azaliah, the son of Meshullam, the scribe, to the house of the Lord, saying, Go up to Hilkiah the high priest, that he may sum the silver which is brought into the house of the Lord, which the keepers of the door have given of the people, and let them deliver it to the hands of the doers of the work, that they have oversight of the house of the Lord, and let them give it to the doers of the work which is in the house of the Lord, to repair the breaches of the house, and to carpenters and builders and masons, and to buy timber and hewed stone to repair the house. Howbeit, there was no reckoning made with them of the money that was delivered into their hands, because they dealt faithfully. And Hilkiah the high priest said unto Shaphan the scribe, I have found the book of the law in the house of the Lord. And Hilkiah gave the book to Shaphan, and he read it. And Shaphan the scribe came to the king, and brought the king the word again, and said, Thy servant had gathered the money that was found in the house, and had delivered it into the hands of them that do the work, that have the oversight of the house of the Lord. And Shaphan the scribe showed the king, saying, Hilkiah the priest had delivered me a book. And Shaphan read it before the king. And it came to pass, when the king had heard the words of the book of the law, that he rent his clothes. And the king commanded Hilkiah the priest, and Ahikam the son of Shaphan, and Achbor the son of Micah, and Shaphan the scribe, and Azahiah the servant of the king, saying, Go ye, inquire of the Lord for me, and for the people, and all of Judah, concerning the words of this book that is found. For great is the wrath of the Lord that is kindled against us, because our fathers have not hearkened unto the words of this book, to do according to all that which was written concerning us. So Hezekiah the priest, and Ahikam, and Achbor, and Shaphan, and Ahasa went to Heldu the prophet, the wife of Shelem the son of Tekavah, the son of Horhaz, keeper of the wardrobe. Now she dealt in Jerusalem in the cottage, and they communed with her. And she said unto them, Thus saith the Lord God of Israel, Tell the man that sent you to me. Thus saith the Lord, Behold, I will bring evil upon this place and upon the inhabitations thereof, even all the words of the book which the king of Judah hath read, because they have forsaken me, and have burned incense unto the other gods, that they might provoke me to anger with all the works of their hand. Therefore my wrath shall be kindled against this place, and shall not be quenched. But to the king of Judah, which sent you to inquire of the Lord, thus shall you say to him, Thus saith the Lord God of Israel, as touching the words which thou hast heard, because thy heart was tender, and thou hast humbled thyself before the Lord, when thou heardest that I spake against this place, and against the inhabitation thereof, that they should become a desolation and accursed, and hast rent thy clothes, and wept before me. I also have heard thee, saith the Lord. Behold, therefore I will gather thee unto thy fathers, and thou shalt be gathered into thy grave in peace, and thy eyes shall not see all the evil which I shall bring upon this place. And they brought the king word again. Alright, now we're on chapter 23, and I'm going to go ahead and read it. And the king sent, and they gathered unto him all the elders of Judah and Jerusalem. And the king went up into the house of the Lord, and all the men of Judah, and all the inhabitants of Jerusalem with him, and the priests, and the prophets, and all the people, both small and great. And he read in their ears all the words of the book of the covenant, which was found in the house of the Lord. And the king stood by a pillar, and made a covenant before the Lord, to walk after the Lord, and keep his commandments, and his testimonies, and his statutes, with all their heart, and with all their soul, to perform the words of the covenant that were written in this book. And all the people stood to the covenant. And the king commanded Hilkiah, the high priest, and the priest of the second order, and the keepers of the door, to bring forth out of the temple of the Lord all the vessels that were made for Baal, and for the grove, and for all the host of heaven. And he burnt them without Jerusalem in the field of Kidron, and carried the ashes of them into Bethel. And he put down the idolatrous priests, whom the king of Judah had ordered to burn incense in the high place in the cities of Judah, and in the palace around about Jerusalem. Them also they burnt incense unto Baal, to the sun, and to the moon, and to the planets, and to all the host of heaven. Well, that's what they're doing now. And he brought out the grove from the house of the Lord without Jerusalem, and to the brook Kedron, and burnt it in the brook Kedron, and they stamped it small to powder, and cast the powder thereof into the grave of the children of the people. And he broke down the house of the Sodomites that were by the house of the Lord, where the women wove hanging for the grove. And he brought all the priests out of the city of Judah, and defiled the high places where the priests had burnt incense from Geba to Bathsheba, and broke down the high places of the gates that were in the entering in of the gate of Joshua the governor, and of the city, which were on man's left hand, and at the gate of the city. Nevertheless, the priests of the high places came not up to the altar of the Lord in Jerusalem, but they did eat of the unleavened bread among their brethren. And he defiled Tophatheth, which is in the valley of the children of Hanam, that no man might make his son or his daughter to pass through the fire to Moloch. And he took away the horses that the king of Judah had given to the sun at the entering of the house of the Lord by the chamber of Nathan Melech, the chamberlain, which was in the suburb, and burnt the chariots of the sun with fire, and the pillars that were on the top of the upper chamber of Ahaz, which the king of Judah had made, and the altars which Manasseh had made in the two courts of the house of the Lord, that the king beat down and brake them down from thence, and cast the dust of them into the brook Kedron. And the high priests that were before Jerusalem, which were on the right hand of the mount of corruption, which Solomon the king of Israel had built for Ashtaroth, the abomination of the Zidonians, and for Chemosh, the abomination of the Medomites, and for Malcolm, the abomination of the children of Ammon, did the king defile. And he broke in pieces the images, and cut down the groves, and filled their places with bones of men. Moreover, the altar that was at Bethel, and the high place which Jeroboam the son of Nebat, who made Israel to sin, had made, both that altar and the high place, he broke down and burnt the high places, and stamped it small to powder, and burned the groves. And as Joash turned himself, he spied the sculptures that were there in the mount, and sent and took the bones out of the sculptures, and burned them upon the altar, and polluted it according to the word of the Lord, which the man of God proclaimed, who proclaimed those words. And he said, "What title is that I see?" And the man of the city told him, "It is the sculpture of the man of God, which came from Judah, and proclaimed these things that thou hast done against the altar of Bethel." And he said, "Let him alone, let no man move his bones." So they let his bones alone, with the bones of the prophet that came out of Samaria. And all the house also of the high places that were in the city of Samaria, which the king of Israel had made to provoke the Lord to anger, Joash took away, and did to them according to all the acts that he had done in Bethel. And he slew all the priests of the high place that were there upon the altar, and burnt men's bone upon them, and returned unto Jerusalem. And the king commanded all the people, saying, "Keep the Passover unto the Lord your God, as is written in the book of the covenant. Surely there was not holden such a Passover from the days of judges and judged Israel, nor in all the days of the kings of Israel, nor of the kings of Judah. But in the 18th year of the king Joshua, wherein his Passover was holden to the Lord in Jerusalem. Moreover, the workers with familiar spirit, and the wizards, and the images, and the idols, and all the abominations that were spied in the land of Judah and in Jerusalem, did Joash put away, and he might perform the words of the law which were written in the book that Hilkiah the priest found in the house of the Lord. And like unto him was there no king before him that turned to the Lord with all his heart, and with all his soul, and with all his might, according to all the law that Moses, neither after him arose there any like him. Notwithstanding, the Lord turned not from the furious of his great wrath, wherewith his anger was kindled against Judah, because of all the provocations that Manasseh had provoked him withal. And the Lord said, I will remove Judah also out of my sight, as I have removed Israel, and I will cast off the city Jerusalem, which I have chosen, and the house of which I said, my name shall be there. Now the rest of the acts of Joash, and all that he did, are they not written in the book of Chronicles of the king of Judah? And in the days of Pharaoh Nechosh, king of Egypt, went up against the king of Assyria to the river Euphrates, and the king of Joash went against him, and he slew him at Megiddo, when he had seen him, and his servant carried him in a chariot dead from Megiddo, and brought him to Jerusalem, and buried him in his own sepulchre. And the people of the land took Jehoahaz, the son of Joshua, and anointed him, and made him king in his father's stead. Jehoshaphat was 23 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 3 months in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Hamutal, the daughter of Jeremiah of Libnah. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, according to all that his fathers had done. And Pharaoh Necho put him in a band at Riblah in the land of Hamath, that he might not reign in Jerusalem, and put the land a tribute of 100 talents of silver and a talent of gold. And Pharaoh Necho made Eliakim the son of Josiah the king in the room of Joash his father, and turned his name into Jehoiakim, and took Jehoahaz away, and he made Egypt, and died there. And Jehoiakim gave the silver and the gold to Pharaoh, but he taxed the land to give the money according to the commandment of Pharaoh. He exalted the silver and the gold of the people of the land, and every one according to his taxation, to give unto Pharaoh Necho. Jehoiakim the 25 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 7 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Zebudah, and the daughter of Pedani of Rumah. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, according to all that his fathers had done. Alright, now we're on 24, and we will pick it up tomorrow. Thank you for listening. I love each and every one of you.